Carmei Gat was the very, very first Zoom call I did about Find Me a Community in Israel. I had one of my clients who had mentioned that her son was moving to this new community. And I was like, I've never heard of this place. So I had called him up and we started speaking, and he said that it's really great and there's Anglos coming, and if I knew anybody, they're looking to grow the community. So that's really how I first heard about Carmei Gat. And I was so impressed with some of the people that I got to meet in the call. And actually one of the people on the calls actually is moving there this summer. So, and a few more people actually are coming to the community from the Zoom call, because as we all know, there's no such thing as pilot trips anymore. So some people are within Israel coming to Carmei Gat, and some are actually making Aliyah to Carmei Gat because they have friends in Carmei Gat. So I had a lot of requests, and I decided, because I really felt it was my very, very first call before I had so many people that knew what I was doing, that I would like to revisit Carmei Gat again because we had so many requests. So thank you for the people who are on tonight. I really appreciate your time. For those of you who don't know how it works, is I invite people from the community to talk about themselves and about the community and about what it's like living in Carmei Gat. And then at the end, we have like an open question answer session. And I just ask you all just to mute yourselves when people are talking, because it's very hard with background noise. We try and do a call every single week on a different community. For those of you who don't know, I have a YouTube channel, Kimbash Real Estate. And I'm really trying to make a platform for people to look into different areas in Israel. And I know that most people know about Renana, Netanya, Mordin, obviously Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. And this was really, for me, a way of being able to get people to come on and actually speak to the locals, to hear firsthand from people living in the communities. So we're going to start, because I know that some people have to get off the call, they have other commitments. And the first person I'd like to introduce is Atara. Is she on? Is she on yet? Let's see. Atara, are you on? I hope so. Hold on, she's not on yet. Okay, let me see if she's trying to get on. Hold on one second. She's not on yet. Hold on a sec. Okay, so she's not on yet. Atara was one of the first people that came on my call 10 months ago, who I was so impressed with, and has been so kind to all the people that have been calling her about moving to Carmei Gat. So we have Hadassah. Hello, Dassie. Hold on one second. Hi, how are you?
Good, thank God. How are you?
Good. So Hadassah and I go back many, many years. And
I'm sorry, Kim, sorry to interrupt. Atara just said she can't get into the meeting. She just texted me.
Hold on a second. I wonder why. Okay.
I also saw her, or meaning I saw Atara as audio, but not with the video.
I wonder why. Okay, let me just see if I can send you a link. Okay. Hadassah, do you want to just introduce yourself, and I will just try and figure out how to get Atara in?
Sure. So hi, I'm Hadassah Calvin Goldberg. I moved to Carmei Gat this summer. I made Aliyah when I was a child at around like 8 years old. So this is what happens when you make Aliyah with children. It's usually quite successful. We lived in Jerusalem. When I got married, I moved to Gan Yavne, which is like down south as well. And we decided to live in Carmei Gat. We were actually looking for 4 things in the place that we wanted to settle down in. And Carmei Gat ticked all of the boxes. So I'll share those 4, and maybe that'll sort of share what Carmei Gat is. The first, we wanted to be in the south. We really like just the scenery, the calmness of it. We didn't like how intense some of the city lives were. We just knew we wanted to be in the south and not in a city. We wanted to be near a train for work reasons and commuting, even just like having guests for Shabbos. You want people to be able to just get to you easily. You can go to Tel Aviv like with no problem. So we wanted to be next to the train. We were looking for affordable homes. Like I didn't want to be like spending an arm and a leg, like living in a tiny little apartment. I wanted to like be able to have like a proper home, etc. And the last thing we were looking for is a young Anglo community. And I didn't ever think I would actually be able to find a young Anglo community here in Israel, because it's just quite rare to actually succeed to create a sense of community here. And I've been so blown away by how welcoming it is, how amazing it is. We've been here for like 4 or 5 months, and I completely feel a part of everything. The shul is beautifully active. Like, it's been Corona. We moved right before the second lockdown, and regardless, we had get-togethers that were all COVID safe. We had shul activities. There's a kiddush and a tefillat Yeladim, of course, according to the Hanchayot, but we just really love it here. Personally, I also didn't want to live in a community that was like 100% one type of Jew. We'll just put it like that. And I love the fact that in Carmei Gat we have our small little core of more like Anglo Dati, but like all the spectrums, our shul, but there are also like very strong Israelis, people that are more Masorati, people that are more Chiloni, people from all different stripes of Israeli life as well. So I don't feel like I'm like I know my child is going to have a great English because she just picks it up from Gan with her friends, etc. But also her Hebrew is going to be fantastic. I don't feel like I'm living in a bubble. We really feel like we're in Israel, and that's pretty much all I have to say about Carmei Gat. It's wonderful. We really love it here, and if you're ever around, feel free to come over for a coffee.
Hadassah, your daughter, does she go to? Did you mention that? Sorry, I was distracted, just trying to get a Torah in. Did your daughter goes to Gan?
Yeah, she's 4 years old. She's in a Gan right around the corner. She actually goes to the Chabad Gan, where most of the members of the community send to, and so they have a little bit of an English-speaking gang in the Gan. Yeah, it's lovely.
And tell me, how can you walk her there? It's close, or do you have to drive?
Yeah. So we moved her to this Gan a few weeks in because the Gan that we were placed in was a little far away. It's a few minute walk. Potentially, if there were no roads, she could probably do it herself. Not yet.
Don't be too Israeli, okay? No, just teasing.
Yeah, not yet. But we're right next to the elementary school. Where my home is located. We're right next to the elementary school, so she'll also be able to walk to the elementary school as well, which is like there are a lot of schools in the area, but this school specifically is a mix of like Masorti and Dati students. Like it's a mixed student body, which really sort of reflects the sort of society that we have here in Carmei Gat. Just like really accepting, really tolerant. Everyone knows who they are, and we love everyone regardless if they look a little different than us. Like we're all the same, pretty much.
And the parents in your child's Gan, are they all English speakers? You said most of them.
So in our Gan, we have a really nice chunk of of the people from the Anglo community. Not all of them are. Obviously, I think there's like 35 kids in the Gan, and maybe like 12 or 15 of them are English speaking, which is a lot. It's massive. And Atara, who's going to come on, also has an English speaking chug here where she teaches the children how to like read and write in English. So she's fantastic, and we're so grateful for her, but she's completely full. Like she's booked. Like we're all there. Yeah.
And you on the train line, right? So it's quite easy to get around to Tel Aviv.
Yeah.
And how long does it take you to get to Tel Aviv?
I think it's like 40 minutes on the train, 15 minutes on the train, like the standard commute to Tel Aviv. I don't know if like I'm going to say this, like I would love to also share some of the faults we have here, if like that's okay. Like, because not everything
we're here to share. Absolutely. Go for it.
Okay. So the city that we're connected to is Kiryat Gat, which is a really old school, very basic, very Israeli city. There are things like we don't have a hospital here. From what I understand, for people who make Aliyah, it can be a little difficult. Like the government offices that like sort of take Olim in and know all their rights, etc. Apparently, it's a little harder to do here than in other cities, and I think that's really important for Olim to know. Just know that coming in here, like the transition on a paperwork level, like might be a little more difficult. the stores here that we have are like a little more basic. There aren't any major malls. Like I don't have a Zara or an H&M, but actually it's turning out to be a really good thing because we're saving lots of money.
Oh, you do all your online shopping. I see. All your online shopping.
Yeah, it still doesn't stop me, but it's different than walking in and loving something. But it also means that it's a treat. There isn't like a crazy, at the moment, like there's no cinema here, there's no bowling alley. Like it really is like more simple, but you're never more than like half an hour or 40 minutes away from like nightlife. Like you can drive to Ashkelon if you wanted to have like a fun date night. You can take your kids to Beit Shemesh if you wanted to go bowling. There's like we're very well located, but as an area, it's more quiet and simple, which honestly is something I wanted. Like it's very family friendly. Like I wanted that. I don't want to like live in a city where it's going to be like, where are my teenage children going? Like they have nowhere to go except for each other's basements. Like, so we're really happy about that. So yeah, that's like I'm trying to think of in Carmei Gat itself, we have a makolet and like a doctor's office, but soon we're getting like a proper big here. So we're going to have like a super farm and aroma and coffee shops like that. I'm trying to think like, oh, it's quite hot here. It gets quite hot here in the summer, but not that cold in the winter, which is fun. I'm just trying to like badmouth Carmei Gat, and it's really hard to do so.
Well, I think the community makes up for it because you guys are so cool.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
When I remember you telling me when you were moving there, and I was like, oh my goodness, do you remember? I said, I just did a call on it, and I was so excited because I'd met Tara and so many other people that were so cool. I said, you're going to love living there. And it was just like, it was a good fit for you, I think. So
yeah,
it's really cool.
Yeah. We're definitely one of the younger families here. Like there are people that are a little older, but I got married very young. So like I find myself at a stage in life that's like a little early than other people, but there are all different ages here. Mainly, someone just asked this one sec. Mainly, yeah, I feel like people mainly in their 30s, 40s sort of thing. 20s, 30s, 40s is probably the comfortable age group here, but it's massively growing and expanding, and there are more people coming here right now. Like I know that right now we know everyone in the community, and in a year or two, that's just not going to be the case. It's going to be too many people. But like it's a beautiful thing. You're living in the South, you're living in Israel, you really feel it here. And it's a pleasure to be here. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out. And Kim, this is amazing. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited. Okay, Atara, there you are. Hi, I'm sorry about that. I'm glad you got on.
Sorry about the delay. Hi, everyone.
Okay. So Atara was one of the first people, as I said, on my first call that I did, and that was like in February, I think it was, which is crazy. So thank you so much. You do a lot for the community. And anytime I talk about Carmei Gat, they said, have you spoken to Atara? So Hadassah was just telling us about your amazing English chug that you also teach.
Thank you.
Why don't you tell us about yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Atara Bienenfeld. We made Aliyah from New York 4.5 years ago. We moved directly to Ra'anana because my husband was working in Herzliya, and Carmei Gat wasn't really on the radar just yet. But 6 months after we made Aliyah, we bought a house in Carmei Gat on paper. And then when it was ready, 2 years later, we moved in 2.5 years later. We've been living here for 1.5 years. I have 4 kids in 4 different schools right now. In 2nd grade, Kita Bet, Gan Chova, another kid in Gan, and one in Ma'on. I teach privately English. I teach 5 English chugim at my house in the afternoons. I do a lot of juggling. And I can probably answer all of your questions. So Kim, tell me what they want to know.
Tell me about, you said you got 4 different kids in 4 different places. So tell me a little bit about what that looks like. Where is everybody?
Sure. I'll start from the youngest. My youngest is in Ma'on.
What is Ma'on? Explain what a Ma'on is.
What is Ma'on? Ma'on is kids from 0 to age 3 are considered, it's not subsidized yet by the government. Age 3 to 6 in Gan is free if you send until 2 o'clock. So Ma'on is the ages from 0 to 3. So there are a few different Ma'on options in Carmei Gat. There are 4 that I can think of. There is only one of the 4 is Dati, and that is the Chabad Ma'on. So that is where my youngest goes. From my house, it's a 4-minute walk, 5-minute walk from my house. So that's one kid. My second is in where Hadassah described the Chabad Gan. That is for 3 and 4-year-olds. So my 4-year-old is there, but I have a 5-year-old. So last year, 2 of them were in that Gan. We've been really happy there. My 5-year-old is in Gan Chova, which is kindergarten. And that is a 5-minute walk in the other direction from the Ma'on. The Chabad Gan that Hadassah described as near Hadassah's house, and we live in the other neighborhood. It's a 15-minute walk from each other, but it's just, I don't walk to that Gan. I can't possibly do all the walking to the drop-offs and the pickups because that wouldn't be possible. But my the kindergarten Gan Chova is whatever, 5 minutes in the other direction. That's at a Gan called Gan Meitar. It's a Gan area. We've had an amazing experience there this year. And my oldest does not go to a local school since the local school was just starting the year we moved here, and we decided not to send there. So he goes to Talmud Torah outside the Moatzah, which is not worth discussing because it's very difficult to get into and it's not the local option. But there are a lot of great.
Where is it? How far is it from where you are?
It's 22 minutes. It's in Shafir.
This is a city next to Carmei Gat. It's a neighborhood. I mean, a bordering area.
It's not really a bordering area. It's a different area.
Okay.
Yeah. So I could talk a lot about the local school, but it's not where my oldest goes.
Okay. And what about the community? Because I know you've been working so hard to build the Anglo community and have an amazing support system. So tell us about what that looks like. Like, what do you guys do for the community, the Hogim?
Sure. The Anglo community is thriving and growing. There are now about 40 Anglo families. And anything I'm saying about the community, I'm trying to talk about the Anglo community since that's what I'm talking about. The average age of the Anglo community is about 25 to 35, 0 to 5 kids. That's a range, but that's what it is. The Israeli community has that age, has many more age ranges, but I saw someone wrote in the chat box that I'm sure there is someone old, that I'm sure there are Israelis that are in their 50s and 60s. There probably are, but the truth is the whole environment is a very young community. Like the schools are bursting, the Ganim are bursting. So and maybe Marcia could add more about this. I'm not saying that there's nobody over 50, but I am saying that it's a very young community, the Israelis as well, secular and religious. It's a very young environment. I know older people have bought for investments and different reasons like that. About the community, there's the Anglo community, and then there's the Ashkenazi Shul, Carmei Gat, that the Shul is run by a lot of the Anglos, since it has to do with when there were different Aliyah coming to Israel. A lot of the Sephardim came to the south. So we daven in the only Ashkenazi Shul in Carmei Gat that happens to be run by a lot of the Anglos are very involved just because that's who is Ashkenaz. There are definitely Israelis in the Shul. Everything is conducted only in Hebrew, but that's just kind of the environment of the Shul. The Shul has a lot of events, and we've been really creative through Corona. Chesed events, like Kiddush, like we've done Kiddushes recently, but everyone individual food and all spread out because we're on a really big high school campus right now. So all spread out. We just built a kids library in the shul because we have a program every Shabbos afternoon, Limud Horim V'Yeladim. And a lot of people would ask me, since I was a Judaic studies teacher before, an English teacher, what should I learn? What should I learn? So we established this library in the shul, and now people are borrowing books. It's really, really nice. We also have Tfilat Yeladim in shul in the morning, which is 2 different groups. The younger kids, which are like Gan age kids, from like 0 to 6, which I run. And then it's really nice. The Kita Aleph and above is run by kind of like 2 B'nai Akiva junior madrichot, you could call them. These 2 7th grade girls, which are so, so sweet. And they run the whole thing and they take it so seriously. They're like madrichot for B'nai Akiva in training. It's really sweet. And they do like a lot of education with the kids. It's really, really amazing. We have women's shiurim once a month, in addition to women's event once a month, different people presenting. We just did like a whole Hanukkah game show Kahoot night. We also did like a woman in the community who's a dietitian. She spoke recently, and that's a program that just started recently. So can't speak so much more about that. Kim, what else can I talk about?
You're doing amazing. It sounds amazing.
Thank you.
And there's a lot of building and construction going on, I know. We're going to talk about the different opportunities available. Where are you living now? Do you live in an apartment building or in a cottage?
So when we bought a cottage. We live in a du mishpachti. We share, actually not on purpose, but with an Anglo family that are close friends of ours next door. When we bought, which was in 2017, when we bought, there was basically this one project available. There were 2 projects available at the time. One that had this house available. So it happens to be that a lot of the Anglos live on our block. We kind of bought like a group because we were all looking for something similar at the same time. So on our block, which is the Dona Du Mishpachtis, which is in 07, F7, different neighborhoods by different numbers, F7, F2, and now they're building F1, F3, and so many other ones. But in our neighborhood of 07, there's like a few different house building projects, and also B'nai Beitcha, private housing, as well as different apartment complexes.
I think one of the attractions of Carmei Gat is that it is a little bit more affordable than a lot of the other cities. And that's why you find a lot of people who've come from Modin who've moved over to live in Carmei Gat. That's what I've been hearing. So it is quite affordable now. I don't think that the prices are going to stay this way with the influx of so many Anglos coming in. So we'll have to see what happens there. Atara, thank you so much again for everything. You're amazing.
My pleasure. Everyone is welcome to reach out, please.
And there's a great booklet, which I said that I would, if anybody wants, I would send to them. There's an amazing booklet that's been updated since I put it out about 10 months ago. So if anybody actually wants an Anglo booklet about the community, please send me a PM. Most of you have my contact details. You can find me on Instagram, you can find me on Facebook, or Kim at Kim Bash Real Estate. Devora will put all my contact details in the chat.
I'm just going to add to please join our Facebook group. I just asked a question today, maybe some of you answered, that we're looking to put out more information, and we want to know what people want to hear, and we're going to put out some new things. So you can ask all your questions there, or you can message me. You can find me on Facebook, message me there. Or I can put my name.
The face, it's Carmei Gat. What is the actual face? I've been on it a few. It's Carmei
Gat community. I'll write it all in the chat.
Great. It's amazing. It's informative. People get back to you. And Atara also has like a WhatsApp a WhatsApp group as well with the community. If anybody wants, she can probably help you with connecting to other people. She can't help you. So Danielle, is Danielle on the call? I saw her earlier.
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, my computer decided to restart in the middle of the call. I
saw you came back on again. Thank you so much for coming on tonight. So you are neighbors, I believe, right? You and Atara live next to each other?
Everyone here is neighbors. Like no one is particularly far from each other. The beauty of Carmei Gat right now is that it's most of the neighborhoods are still not built up. It's mainly 2 neighborhoods. It's F7, which is where Atara and I live, and then F2, which Hadassah lives in. They probably will have cooler names in a few years, but right now, because it's more newly built, we're going by that. But there are a bunch of other neighborhoods that will be built in the future, and you see construction here all the time, which is amazing. So yeah, everyone's neighbors. But
Where are you from originally?
I'm from New Jersey originally, from East Brunswick, New Jersey. I have to say not Teaneck for all of the American people out there, because everyone's from Teaneck. My husband and I are actually both from East Brunswick. We made Aliyah about 6 years ago. And actually yesterday is the 2-year anniversary of us moving to Carmei Gat.
Wow.
We're the 6th Anglo couple family to move down to Carmei Gat. I always say it's like being ground floor at a startup. It's like being ground floor at a startup. It's a really, really exciting, and it's unbelievable to see how much the community has grown over the last 2 years. Just to, I guess, start from the beginning, we kind of got into Carmei Gat after everyone else, but moved in before everybody else. There's another couple here, Ruvain and Talia Kirshner. If you've looked in Carmei Gat early, they were people whose names you saw a lot, Ruvain's in particular. And they had bought a penthouse apartment way at the beginning of Carmei Gat. And as more projects started being available, specifically the project that Atara was talking about, which is the Du Mishpachti, the semi-attached houses from Donna, the contractor, the Kirshners were looking to sell their apartment and to buy a Du Mishpachti. So we had heard about it. We were already looking into Carmei Gat at that point, because a few of our friends from Modi'in, we made Aliyah to Modi'in originally, were looking to buy down here in Carmei Gat. And we just jumped on it. I think it was a turnaround of maybe 3 weeks where we bought our place, which was really hashgacha pratis, pretty unbelievable. But we moved down here at the end of 2018. And when that was the case, we didn't even have paved roads. There weren't paved roads.
Wow.
There is a shopping center just outside of Carmei Gat called I Solomon. That didn't exist. The road that goes straight to the train didn't exist. It used to be about a 15-minute drive to the train, just because you'd have to go out of Carmei Gat, go onto 35, go into Kiryat Gat the other way, go all the way around, and then go to the train. Now it's a straight shot, and you get there in about 5 minutes.
Wow.
My husband and I, well, at least pre-corona, both worked in Tel Aviv. I had worked in Modi'in for the first 3 months living in Carmei Gat, and then switched to a job in Tel Aviv, which worked well with the train. Hold on, I just saw a question. Which neighborhood is the Anglo Ashkenazi Shul in? That's a good question. The Shul has actually moved a few times because it's a new community. It's moved a few times since the community's been here. Right now, it's just outside of a school because it's outdoors at this point, but it's on the corner, basically in between 07 and 02, Epishtaim and Episheva. So it's really walkable for anybody, which is super nice. And the community is, how long is the commute Tel Aviv door to door? So my commute originally, my office was originally straight off the Haganah train stop, which was about 40 minutes flat, really unbelievable. And now I'm in Ramat Gan, or was in Ramat Gan. And that's about an extra 10 minutes just going to the Sabidor train stop. So it's an extra 10 minutes. The train is pretty good. It has rush hour times, and then in the middle of the day, it has trains that are hourly. Like there's a rush hour train, and then there's a local train. It's on the same line, so it's not like you can get both at the same time. It's either one or the other. But they run every half hour between 6 and 10 a.m. And then again from 4 until 8 p.m. The train runs every half hour. In the middle of the day, they run every hour. The only thing that I can say, I guess, to be cautious of, because coming from Modi'in where the train ran every half hour all the time, is if you have kids in Gan and you need to pick them up by 4, you need to catch the 2 o'clock train in Tel Aviv in order to come back to get your kid in time. Just because the train, the 07, 09 train will get you in to Carmei Gat just after 4 on the local train. On the what's it called? On the rush hour train, it'll take about 45 minutes. So those are the trains that you'd normally catch. Also, when like before Corona, there was a WhatsApp group where people would give each other rides to and from the train station. There's also buses. We have a bus here that's the number 4 bus, and it runs, I think, every 20 minutes. That goes from Gat through Kiryat Gat and ultimately ends at the train station. So my
And
husband either.
how long is that trip? 10 minutes?
It depends on the time of day, because at like, let's say you're trying to catch the 8 o'clock train, it can be a little more difficult. Sometimes you'll get there on time. Other times you'll get there a few minutes just after, and then you'll catch the 8:25 local train. It really depends. Right now, my husband goes in every day. He's actually in the Air Force and is at the Kiryat in Tel Aviv. So he's been taking the car more often, but normally he would try to catch the 7 o'clock train, and he would catch the bus from here at around 6:45, 6:47, and he'd get to the train with no problem.
Okay. No traffic.
In terms of amenities in the area, well, one thing that no one has mentioned yet is that the park here, like there's a lot of parks and it's beautiful, but there's one park in particular which we happen to live above, and like that's our view, which is why one of the reasons why we love our place so much. But there's this humongous park that's absolutely beautiful, gorgeously built, like you see continued construction building up the park, and it's going to be massive. There's apparently supposed to be an amphitheater in there, like real cultural center. There's a visitor center being built there now, and it's just beautiful. Even someone in the community recently started like a mommy and me meetup, and once a week in the mornings for people who are there. I actually have a 4-month-old daughter, so like for me being on maternity leave during Corona, it's a pretty nice thing to have. The community has been the community is, and we moved in before most of the people, but everyone is a very big go-getter and doer. People are organizing a lot of things. People are really excited to build a community. And that's something that really attracted us to come down here, that it's a gorgeous area. It's close to the train. So you're still able to like have your career in the Merkaz if you want. I work in marketing at, I guess what was a high-tech startup, but we actually got bought recently. And you can have that in the Merkaz, but still living in this Southern lifestyle. I've never been a Southern belle in my entire life, but it's very nice. And you get to be part of this new, growing, just by the bootstraps community. And it's been really amazing to see. People are bringing meals all the time for people who've just given birth and things like that. Actually, Hadassah was like one of the first people in the community to meet my daughter, because she just ended up bringing our first meal for Friday night dinner. I think that was maybe 3 weeks after she moved in. But everybody is like that. Everyone is just willing to help everybody else and lend a helping hand when need be, which is great. I see Atara answering in the chat. In terms of things in the area, we just got a makulet recently, which is huge. There's actually somewhere you can walk to in the community now that isn't a park. Like you can walk to the makulet, pick something up, go back, and you've done your being outside a bit for the day, if you're more homebound. But there's going to be shopping centers built in the future. I guess within the next year or two, there are 2 big shopping centers, or by big, I mean like medium-sized shopping centers that are going to be built. Everything else, though, you really need to drive to Kiryat Gat in order to do it. Nothing is particularly far. And as Atara had mentioned in the chat, all the major grocery stores, basically all the major grocery stores deliver. The only one that I was used to in Modi'in that I don't have down here is Yochananof. But I have Shuversal deliver to my house once a week, and they're great. And they've, especially since Corona, they've been amazing with their timing. And yeah, it's
Sounds awesome.
a great place.
Thank you so much. I'm going to answer some of the questions that are coming up as well. But I want to move on. Is Shira on the call, also from your community? Shira Stein? I don't know how you pronounce it. Shira, Is she on?
I don't see her on.
Okay, not a problem. What I want to introduce to you now is the local fantastic real estate agent. Marcia, you want to unmute yourself? You need to unmute yourself. She's talking. Hold on. Oh, there you are. Hello. How are you?
Okay.
Okay. So I know that you live in Kiryat Gat and you've
Right.
been there for a very long time. And
Yeah.
I want you to introduce yourself because you know a lot about the area and about Carmei Gat and you selling real estate there. So I want everybody to know who you are and introduce yourself.
Okay, thank you. Okay, my name is Marcia. I made Aliyah from New York, from Riverdale, 39 years ago. 39 years ago, there was no soft landing for any immigrant anywhere in the country. If I wanted to speak English, I had to find friends. I had to basically think about what I was going to say when I went into a store, practice it 10 times and hope for the best. I think today it's a lot easier. There's a lot more information available for people and a whole lot more Anglos. I was watching some of your questions. First of all, there was a thing about the neighborhoods and the numbers. Those numbers are temporary, and there are basically three main neighborhoods. I tried to pull up the map, but was unsuccessful. I'm not that great with computers. So one is Avnei Choshen, which is where most of the Anglos live right now. The second major neighborhood is called Ha'isha Ha'ivrit, and that's the neighborhood that's being built up right now. There are a lot of cottages and private houses up there. And the third is Nachalim, rivers. And that's what used to be known as 01. Just to know. I see somebody asked about the Kupot Cholim. There are two that just opened.
The health provider services. I'm just explaining what that is. Your health providers.
There are two health clinics that just opened, Leumit and Meuchedet. Thank you, Ruti. But I was young and you know, when you're young, you can make Aliyah and not really think twice about it. And we didn't have communications. As far as rentals go, two bedroom apartments can no longer really be found for 2,500 shekels. That was the case maybe 2 years ago when there was a flood in the market and not too many people looking for them. The ones that I've rented out recently have gone for 3,000. So you have
is
to.
That in a new building?
Yes, all the buildings are new. There's no building that's more than 2.5 years old.
Okay, so
the first buildings where people moved into were 2.5 years ago. And the day that people started moving in was the day the public buses started running.
Wow.
So everything has really been done to make sure that people stay in the neighborhood. I'm incredibly impressed. I really felt for you, Danielle, because I did that trip every day, going from my office into Carmei Gat. I went through, I don't know how many tires, running over nails, and other bits of metal. And
the mechanics
now
are
it's
nice here.
Yeah, it's a whole different ballgame now. I think it amazes me to watch Carmei Gat rising out of nothing, because for many, many years, we kind of sat there waiting for Kiryat Gat to develop. My parents called it Kiryat Gat nothing when I first got married. I don't think that's anywhere close anymore. We have pretty much every community service that you could want. Anybody moving in and isn't sure and the community in Carmei Gat doesn't know what's going on, I'll be happy to answer. The Misrata Klita conveniently is right next to my office. So anybody who has trouble with the Misrata Klita and, you know, just can't deal with the Hebrew speaking people there. Although I did notice they were looking for somebody English speaking, which is quite telling. At any rate, I'm usually in my office and I can run over and say hi and try to smooth things over. They have been pretty efficient. There are very few private houses available right now. We spent a lot of time looking for them. I spend an awful lot of time running through the neighborhood just looking for people who want to sell, and people who bought private houses aren't really willing to sell just yet. They're few and far between. There are a few penthouses available. And those, those are a little bit easier to find because there are more of them and more people bought them as investments. So now they're willing to sell. The kablanim do not have any houses for sale right now. They have a lot of apartments, but no houses.
Right.
However, there is land available to build private homes. But as I said, very few private homes that are already built are available. Whenever there is a project that's available, then I'll know about it. At any rate, we have a good number of apartments, and in pretty much any size, going from 2 bedrooms and up. There are no 1-bedroom apartments at this point. I believe there will be in about a year. At any rate, for those of you who are coming from the States or elsewhere, apartments here are much, much smaller than what you're used to. A 3-bedroom apartment is 94 square meters, which would be, wait, I'll give you the American measurement because I really,
It's under 1,000 square feet.
it's small, it's small. I'm here to help. I know that a few of you are familiar names and I've spoken to you already. Whatever you need, if it's just to call and ask questions, I'm available. And my number is out there. My phone number is out there, and I'm out
I'm
there.
happy to give anybody who wants to contact Marsha. I will be happy to give out all
Thank
the
you.
information. We're actually going to show some of her top 3 properties that she's actually on the market right now. Before we get there, I wanted to introduce you to, for those of you who don't know, Rafi from Olim Advisors. So if Carmei Gat does not have the services that Olim need, Rafi from Olim Advisors has they're just an amazing service. And I invite Rafi to come on our calls every week because they have an unbelievable service that they offer to anybody coming to Israel and making Aliyah. And even those people who are in Israel right now who still also need help, Olim Advisors is definitely your address. So welcome, Rafi. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks, Kim. Hi, everyone. Shavua Tov. It's great to be here and great to see all you here. I actually made Aliyah twice. The first time was about 43 years ago. As a little kid from South Africa, my parents made Aliyah, and we ended up living first in Ramat Poleg, and then we lived in Rehovot. And then my dad got a job in America and said, let's go for a few years. And a few years ended up being a lot of years. We grew up in New Jersey, also not Teaneck. I grew up in West Manalapan and then West Orange. So, a little way from Teaneck. And Israel was always my home. Even though I lived in Israel for 8 years and in the States for 30 years, I always felt a connection to Israel. And my wife and I were talking about it, and we wanted our kids to have that same kind of experience, that same connection to Israel. So in 2015, in the summer of 2015, we made Aliyah again, or I made Aliyah again, and we came with our 4 kids, and we ended up in Hashmonaim, which is a yeshuv near Modi'in, so center of town. I realized that making Aliyah was challenging for me, and I speak Hebrew fluently, and I have a little bit of the Israeli chutzpah, and it was still challenging. And so I sat down with my sister who lives here in Hashmonaim, and we said, let's start an organization to help people, because a lot of people have the dream of making Aliyah. It could be just for a year, 5 years, 10 years. They've been thinking about it, wanting to do it. And then they think, well, how can I do it? Reality kind of hits, and they say there's so many things that I have to worry about: finding a community, finding a job, finding a home, finding schools, and so on and so forth. And we wanted to help, and so we started Olim Advisors back in 2016 with really 2 goals in mind. One is to guide people through the Aliyah experience. So really help them do the research, help them find the communities and the schools and and the homes. And then once they get to, once they get to Israel, we want to help them adjust to life in Israel. As people know who are living here, it's challenging, especially if you don't speak Hebrew and if you're not familiar with the culture. And even if you have friends and family, there's only so many times you can go to them. And so we, in essence, become the support system here for people, from going to the bank, Misad HaKita, Misad HaPnim, to all the little questions. How do you sign up for a Kupat Cholim? How do you sign up for a doctor if you want to buy a car, and so on and so forth. And so I'll put my contact information at the end. And I just want to invite you all to just reach out to me if you have any questions, if you're, been dreaming about making Aliyah, but you're not quite sure what the next step should be, or you're not quite sure what the process should be. Feel free to reach out to me, and I'll be happy to talk to you. And I just want to end with a few pieces of advice, just some things that I think you might find helpful. The first thing is to do as much preparation as you can beforehand. So if you know you're coming in a year or 2 years, and your Hebrew is not great, start learning Hebrew. There's a number of ways you can do that. You can do online classes. You can watch on YouTube Israeli shows. You can read the Israeli newspaper online. There's a lot of things that you can do to learn Hebrew. If you're looking for a job, you can do a lot of the research beforehand. You can look at different industries. You can see what companies are looking to hire. You can start networking before, so when you get here, your whole job search process is a lot shorter. So that's something that I think is really important. And then in terms of preparation, the last thing I would recommend that you do is reach out to people in the different communities. So if you're thinking about Carmei Gat, or you're thinking about going up to Nahariya, or you want to go to Modi'in, wherever the case may be, reach out to people. And I know Kim's done this many times. We can introduce you to local people who live in the different residents, in the different communities, so that you can make some friends, and your kids can make some friends before you get to Israel. And it really makes a world of difference if you get to a community and you know 1 or 2 or 3 families. It just, those first few days and first few weeks are just so much easier. So that's one piece of advice. Really do as much preparation beforehand as you can. The other thing is use the free resources that are out there. There's a lot of free resources. There's a Facebook group that Kim and I and a few other people started, and I'll put the link to the Facebook group. And it's really just meant for both people who are making Aliyah as well as Anglos, just to ask questions and just say, hey, I want to do this, I want to do that. What do you think I should do? So that's one resource. Nefesh B'Nefesh has a great website with a lot of information, so make sure that you check that out as well. We also have on our website, we have a pre-Aliyah checklist. So if you want to get information about what you should do beforehand, you can always get that from our website. So use the resources. And then I would say the last thing is just be open-minded. A lot of people that we talk to just want to go to the big communities, Ra'anana, Ramat Bet Shemesh, Jerusalem, Modi'in, but there's so much else out there. And Carmei Gat is a perfect example of that. There's a lot of people that wouldn't even realize that there's this new community that's just growing and vibrant. And so I always encourage people to kind of think outside of the box when it comes to communities and schools. I think as the person mentioned before, you don't necessarily have to send your kids to the community schools. There might be other options that are more suitable to them. So just, make sure that you really are open-minded when it comes to that, because there's just so much that the country has to offer, and there's really a community for everyone. You just want to make sure that you consider everything. So I want to really commend you on going down this journey. For me and my wife and our kids, I really think it's been such a great decision, and I think it's really a blessing to live in Israel and to raise our family here. And so I really want to encourage you to go through your plans and really make that dream come true. And again, if you have any questions, just really feel free to reach out to me. You can call me, text me, WhatsApp, and I'll be happy to just talk to you and guide you in any way that I can. And I'll put my contact information in the chat so that you can reach out to me at your convenience. So Kim, thanks again for having me on board.
Pleasure. Great. And also the Facebook group, which Rafi and I'm a moderator on the group as well, is called Anglo Support Network Israel. I think it's, yeah, Israel in it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll put the link in and then everyone
It's
can just click on this.
amazing. Rafi's done an incredible job with it. There's over 2,000 people already on the group, and it's really very interactive. People asking questions all day about all different things, from leasing cars to insurance to schooling, medical, whatever it may be. So go on. It's an excellent group to be part of. I know there are many other groups out there, but this is definitely one of the most informative groups I've actually seen on Facebook for Aliyah. I also just want to run through, before we get onto our presentation we did, we always at the end of the call do a little bit about what housing opportunities, and Marsha's also going to tell us, we put some of her properties on, but what you do need to know when you are when you're renting a property in Israel, you are usually obligated to a 1 month rent to an agent. So just know that if you're going to rent, unless you're going straight to the owner, it's 1 month plus VAT of 17%. Okay, I'm just putting it out there so that you know, so that it's not like, because in America, sometimes it will be the owner or the seller, not the seller, well, the seller in this case, if you're buying, that those fees you will pay, you won't have to pay, the seller will pay. But the buyer and the seller in Israel both pay. So if you're buying a property in Israel, you have closing costs. And the closing costs are as follows. And we can have a one-on-one meeting about this as well. You've got your agent's fees, which are 2% plus VAT. Lawyer's fees, 1% plus VAT. And then your purchase tax. Now, purchase tax is acquisition tax. And this depends on the price of the property, as well as the status of when you buy the property. And there are certain benefits when you're coming here as a new immigrant that you can use to get a lower purchase tax. And you're looking at anything from 0.5% up to 5%, depending on where you fit into that category. So you really do need a support system, and you need a good lawyer. I have people I can also refer you to. And also buying in a new project. You need to make sure that when you buy in a new project that you know what's called, that you look through everything like the technical specifications, what is attached to the apartment when you buy it, because sometimes a developer is selling a very basic apartment with a very simple kitchen, and it's not your American huge big kitchen, and you're going to have to add on to your kitchen, and that's an extra expense. Or for example, there's no closets, there's no appliances, there's no light fixtures when you're buying in a building. So these are all things that you have to make sure that you have a good lawyer who's going to represent you, who's going to make sure that you're getting exactly what it says in the contract as well, and who's going to fight to get you the best deal, basically. So it's very, very important that you have a good team of people working with you when you purchase in Israel. So I want us, Deb, you can share the screen. We're going to show you and this is just a sampling of what's available. We have 3 different opportunities from Marsha, and then we have a building development that we are working with called Dimri, which has 2 towers. So I'm going to just go through it. Okay, slide number 2. Is it just loading now, I think? Okay, this is just a little introduction. I'll stop there for Deb for a second. It just gives you a little bit a map of where everything is. So Carmei Gat, you're looking at about between 35 and 45 minutes from major cities. Tel Aviv, Rehovot, Ashdod, Beersheba, Jerusalem, Beit Shemesh. And this is a screenshot from the amazing booklet that they have created. Okay. Marsha, do you want to just tell us, this is one of your apartments.
Okay. This is probably the most beautiful penthouse I've seen in Carmei Gat. It can be available with all the furnishings or without. It includes an proper indoor kitchen, but also an outdoor kitchen. It's 150 square meters, 4 bedrooms. It has all built-in cabinetry, which is incredibly unusual in Israel. So everywhere in the house, there are cabinets. You don't even notice that they're there. You just push on the door and it's there. They really are stunning. The sink, while you see it as it is, can easily be divided into a double sink. The owner just didn't want to. 2.5 baths, huge living room. There's a pergola covering on the balcony, part of which he arranged so that it can be moved to build a sukkah,
Nice.
which I found to be astounding.
They do it all the time in Israel. I mean, in Jerusalem, it's all over the place. Retract sukkahs, yeah.
I had never seen it done here before because a lot of people up until now would just build a sukkah in the street and, you know, come what may.
And is this in a building that has a Shabbat elevator?
It's a 9-story building. It has it. Any building with at least 2 elevators in it must have one as a Shabbat elevator, unless all the tenants say we don't want it. That's not likely to happen with 40 odd apartments.
And this has parking as well?
This comes with parking. I believe it's 2 parking spaces, if I'm not mistaken.
Storage room?
No storage room, but there is like a storage area on the side of the balcony.
Okay. And is this in this building itself? Is this in like, which area is this in?
It's actually right in the center of Carmei Gat, so it would be about 2 blocks away from the Makolet and right across the street from the religious elementary school.
Great. Okay, fantastic.
Okay.
That's opportunity number one.
It's
Okay.
gorgeous. The second one is a 5-room apartment, 117 square meters, which was changed into a 4-room apartment to make way for a dining area.
So
which
just
is
hold
very
on one
unusual.
second, just to clarify, 4 rooms in Israel means 3 bedrooms.
Right, sorry.
Okay. No, just making sure everybody understands.
It
Okay.
also overlooks the religious elementary school, as you can see. That's a photo of it. It's upgraded, partially upgraded, and really looks wonderful. It's a really nice living space, especially for, say, a couple with only 1 or 2 children living at home, or for an older couple who wants to have some extra space for the grandchildren to spend Shabbat.
Nice.
It also has built-in closets in the
1.8.
bedroom.
Okay.
And, you know, again, that's not necessarily a usual thing.
And how old is this building?
Again, 2.5 years.
So it's
There's
new.
nothing older than 2.5 years in
Okay,
Carmei.
like you said, okay, so this is, okay, so it's really a great price, 1.48 million shekels. It's amazing.
Right,
Amazing price.
1.48 is very good. You can
Okay,
get in touch
good.
with me.
Sure. Okay, we're going to go up. We have one. So I'm going to just talk about the buildings and then we're going to go back to your last apartment. There are 2 new buildings going up by a very good company called Dimri. And they are building, one building is 25 floors and the other is 9 floors. And the prices, they are 1 year away from being completed. And you can buy a 2-bedroom there for about 1.1 million 50. 3 bedrooms for 1.3, 4 bedrooms 1.450 in the 25th floor building, and in the 9th floor, which is more of a small boutique building, 100,000 shekels more. So these are the selling pre-sale prices. So this is an excellent investment opportunity, even for those people who are not necessarily thinking about Aliyah, but want to get their foot in the door. This is an incredible opportunity. I'm working directly with a developer on this, so you can contact me directly on these 2 buildings. Okay, Deb, the next one up. Okay, this is another.
Okay, so this is a 3-bedroom apartment. It's fairly standard, but again, very nice. It overlooks, again, the elementary school. Great price. It's priced at 1.28.
Wow. It doesn't say how many square meters is on this one. How big is it?
94.
Okay, just under 100 square
94.
meters. Okay.
All of the entire Gindi project is completely standard. They basically made the same apartments in every single building, the same layout on every floor. Makes my life very easy. Fully air conditioned.
And what's the rental on this? What kind of
Easily by the summer you could get, I would say at least 3,400, if not 3,500, because the rentals are going up all the time. You know, somebody had said you can rent an apartment, a 2-bedroom apartment in Carmei Gat for 2,500. That was 2 years ago. The last ones that I rented were 3,000, and the prices are going up all the time.
Okay, amazing.
There's-
David, you're asking about the booklet. Anybody who wants the booklet, please send me a private message. It's on the chat, kim@kimbashrealestate.com, or you can find me on Facebook, Kim Bash, or on Instagram, or on LinkedIn, whatever. I'm all over the place on social media. You can find me. We also have our website, which is currently being built, and it's kimbashrealestate.com. So you can find us there. I think that is basically it. But as you can see, compared to other talks that we've done, the real estate market in Carmei Gat is very affordable compared to the rest of Israel. I think the other community that we did that was, the prices were just as good as this, was Beersheba. Beersheba had some really good opportunities. And for people who, as I said, who cannot afford to go into the Renanas and the Tel Avivs and the Jerusalems and Netanyas, this is a great starting point for people. And I encourage, I'm on the ground selling real estate every day. I can tell you now that the market is incredibly strong. And people are buying, even though the dollar is not so great. So I do, even if you're not sure where you're going to go, I do believe that Carmei Gat is going to become it is already a thriving community, but it's going to become even more so in the future. So, okay, we can stop. Let me just stop sharing the screen now. Okay, fantastic. So I hope everybody had got a lot out of this call. And I'm going to open up for questions because it's getting late. And again, please feel free to reach out to me, Devorah, who works with me. We can schedule also a private appointment with you to talk about any of your Aliyah needs, any real estate that you'd like to talk about. We are here for you. So I'm going to open it up to the floor if anybody has any questions. The booklet, David, send me a message. Okay, anybody want to ask questions? No?
Can you hear me?
Hello.
Hi. Oh, okay. Hold on. Who's
Hi.
first?
I can go second. It's fine. I'll wait.
I heard a gentleman's voice.
Oh, hi. Sorry. Thank you.
Who is that?
Thanks. It's Arkiva and Zara.
Hi.
We're hoping to make Aliyah from London, and obviously we're very interested in Carmei Gat. We've got a couple of people have told us that Carmei Gat is a difficult place to make Aliyah straight away to, but obviously it seems like a really great place to move to. So what advice or tips would you have, or support would you have in terms of this?
Anybody on the call still is Tara still on? I don't know if she had to go. Masha, maybe you can answer.
Sorry, I was answering something else. Can you repeat the question?
Question is that they've heard from, and I actually had a conversation with the Tara about this today, about that it's not such a soft landing community because it's still a very small community.
Right.
So it's not like if you're coming into like the other, like Modin or Netanya, we have a huge amount of Anglos. So they're saying like, what can they do? What advice do you give if you come in straight making Aliyah into this community?
Okay, first of all, making Aliyah anywhere requires a lot of patience. It doesn't matter what community you're going to, you need a ton of patience. There are going to be days when you feel like you're in an anthropological experiment gone bad. They tend to be fewer and farther between than they were when I made Aliyah, but it happens and you have to understand why it's happening and kind of get over it. Right now, there's a community that I think is really, really supportive, and that's phenomenal. When I made Aliyah and moved to Carmei Gat, there were about 10 English speakers. I'm still in touch with most of them. Several left. The community did not grow at all until the last 3 years. With the exception of maybe a handful of a couple of others who came in. It's not a soft landing, but on the other hand, there are enough people around you can reach out to who will give you a hand. As I said before, my office is right next door to the Misrata Klita, which I think is perfect placement.
Also, what I do encourage, Akiva, if you can, to speak to Rafi from Olim Advisors. I mean, this is what they do, and they hold your hand. There is a fee involved because that's what they do. This is their job, but they really do hold your hand every step of the way. And I really wish, when I had come to Israel, that I had known about a service like them, because there's been so many times so much frustration when you're just not sure what to do. So I advise you to have a call with him and speak to him directly. I've done many calls, and we can talk as well. You can set up an appointment with Devorah, and I can talk to you about all the different communities I've done. But I really do think that Carmei Gat is a very special place, and I think that it's a thriving community. It's going to be one of the best communities, I think, to move into, because it's affordable as well. And I think that the people, you've met them on the call tonight. This is the kind of Anglo types of people that are moving into the community. It is a melting pot, though. It's not just one particular type of people that are coming in. It's from all over the world. I've got South Africans moving there, people from Australia, people from England, a lot from America as well.
When I first came here, there were over 100 different countries represented in Kiryat Gat.
Wow. That's amazing.
It's a huge melting pot, and it's very interesting.
Akiva, I'd also like to add, and I think we actually spoke a few weeks ago, that you have to realize that you can't bring your lifestyle over, whether you're coming from the UK or South Africa or America. It really is a different lifestyle, and you have to change your mindset. I think, as Marsha mentioned, the apartment's a lot smaller. You might not have the 2 cars that you used to and the convenience that you have in America, but there's a lot of wonderful things here. And so I think understanding that, recognizing that, and making that switch mentally will really help you settle no matter where you end up with. And then just being positive. And I think a lot of the people here on the Zoom call, that's a critical key, is really understanding that there will be some tough days and you'll get through them like everybody else has gotten through, and you just have to stick it out and take it a day at a time. I think in my experience, those 2 things really have a very big impact on the first few weeks and first few months of your Aliyah. And then, once you get beyond that period of time, things will get a lot easier very quickly.
Absolutely. It takes time. It really, really does. But
thank you very much.
I think that, you're making the right decision. I think that you look at, I'm not going to politics, but what's going on around the world, I wouldn't want to be anywhere else besides Israel.
Right.
So that's really how I feel. And I was on a phone call with Nefesh B'Nefesh last week, or 10 days ago about, there's been 18,000 applications for Aliyah, for people who want to come in the next 18 months, which is, even if half of those people come, it's 9,000. They all have to go somewhere. So they're everywhere. It's crazy what's going on. But all the communities, there's building going on. The schools are starting with Olim programs to help with the children coming into the school system, to help cater for their needs. There's going to be a lot of changes in Israel, a lot. Any other? Oh, so Tahila, you had a question.
Yes. So I have 2 questions. One is about the high schools. I don't think we spoke a lot about that. I guess just want to know what's available. I'm assuming Carmei Gat does not yet have a high school because the community is very young, but what's available in the surrounding area. And then my second question has to do with, I know that Marcia said that there aren't many available houses or du mishpachti, but what is available from that small pool, just to hear about that if possible.
Okay, first of all, there is a high school, but it's not a religious school. It's a general high school. It opened this year, but it hasn't really gotten a chance to open because of Corona. There isn't a lot of availability of houses right now, but we're working on it. whatever comes available, I try to get and present it to people who want it.
So because there isn't so much available in terms of houses, does that mean that negotiating becomes very difficult?
It depends on the house. It depends on the price. It depends entirely on each deal is something else. And, you know, when you're ready, I'll be happy to help.
Thank you.
Mostly right now, there's a lot of new construction. So
Yeah, there is construction, but not smooth.
houses. Correct.
That's the problem.
Apartments.
I sold on the last call we were on, a couple bought the last garden apartment in a project.
Right.
And it went like I told them, if you want it, you got to go there tomorrow. They happened to be in Israel on a trip. And this is just before COVID closed down the skies, and they managed to buy it. In terms of in new construction, depending on the developer, they will allow you to put down a 20% deposit. And as the construction happens, you pay according to that. So, but sometimes it'll be 20% in the beginning, and if they're very generous, they allow you to pay 80% at the very end. But that's also linked to what's called a building index. So they can go up a little bit as well. But I'm not going to go into that because that's complicated.
Right.
I can talk to you about that later on. But there are some things that you need to know about new construction when you're purchasing from a developer.
Okay. A question that I saw was asked pretty often was about a Sephardi, Ivrit, Anglo Shul, if that exists.
I don't know. All I heard about was the Anglo Ashkenazi Shul, but I don't know. Nasha, do you know?
I don't think that it gets that specific just yet. I know that there's several Sephardi congregations or minyanim, and there's only one Ashkenazi minyan, and that's where most of the Anglos go. And, you know, eventually, I think that as more and more people come in and more immigrants come in and more Anglos come in, it's going to change the way the community is. At the beginning of the call, somebody said that in her gan, out of 32 children, there are like 15 English speakers, and I was in shock because the most that we ever had at the highest year that we ever had were 4 children in the whole school, in a whole elementary school. So having 12 in one kindergarten, that's amazing.
It certainly is. But Tehila, you can make an appointment with us with Devorah, who happens to be Sephardi, who works with me, and we can also talk about possibly, even though I love Carmei Gat, maybe there's alternative communities that could serve your needs as well. So
I personally am not Sephardi. I just saw it was asked pretty often
okay.
in the chat, so I just thought I would bring it up now just so the question gets answered.
There's a massive amount of Syrians coming, Persians are coming. We get calls from all over the world with different, communities, and we want to bring 20 families, 30 families, people looking to, buy already. So they're securing properties for themselves for the future. So anyway.
Sorry, I'm just going back to the high schools.
I don't know. I can find out for you more about the high schools. I don't know if Masha, do you know more about the high schools?
Right now,
I
there's
still want to dominate the call.
high school in Kiryat Gat. It has different programs within it. One is a regular program. One is a yeshiva, a boys yeshiva, and the other is an Olpana. I'm familiar with it because my nephew was the principal there for quite a few years. And that's in Kiryat Gat. There will eventually be a Memlachti Dati High School in Carmei Gat. When? I know it's slated to be built. I just don't know exactly when, but it will happen.
Also, a lot of kids, by the way, I live in Jerusalem, and my kids travel to school. So you may have to, you could I happen to live in the old city in Jerusalem, and some of my kids will travel 45 minutes to get to school.
Right.
So it happens. That's what you do. So it could be that you could be living in Carmei Gat, but depending on your children, may have to go out of the your
Out of
community.
neighborhood, which is not a
Most
big
people
deal.
do that. It's very normal as well for kids to. It was very unusual for me coming from South Africa, where you never let your kids go anywhere by themselves, but your 11-year-old will go on a bus by themselves or on a train by themselves, even as young as 8 years old. And I've even seen younger, but I won't go into that. But
Loose on the New York City subway at 14.
Very independent. Kids are very independent here. They're doing things that I never dreamed that I would let my kids do. But there is a sense of like, you're amongst, of course, you got to be careful, but you're amongst your own people. So there is a sense of, I know if my son is out and he needs me and he didn't take a phone with him, he can ask somebody and they'll give him his phone to use. And it's happened on numerous times, that they need me and they'll call me. They'll go to the local guy in the aroma and say, I need to use your phone, and they'll call me. Your child is here. He needs to talk to you. So, or on the bus, if my kid has got off on the wrong bus stop, and somebody will get, let them use. It's a very, you feel safe. Yeah, it's different. It's different.
Can I ask a question?
Hi, Rachel. Hi.
Hi, how are you? First of all, thank you so much for hosting this. I know the Anglo community is small, but I'm wondering about the diversity within the Anglo community, and also if any of the communities, I guess the Israeli, Sephardi, Anglo, if those communities mix at all.
I can answer from what I know, but again, I don't live there. I know that most of the Anglo community is religious, Dati Lumi, traditional. I think most people that are there, the Anglos, are Shomrei Shabbat. In terms of mixing, they said at the Anglo Ashkenazi Shul, there is Sephardi people that come to the Shul and Israelis, because it's so new. So I don't know, maybe Atara, we can send you a message about that, because I'm not 100% sure, but I know that it is quite a, a traditional community. Does everybody cover their hair? Does everybody wear skirts? I can't answer that question. Maybe Marsha, you can, but from all the people in the call tonight,
I mean, for me, walking around the neighborhood, it's a very mixed, very diverse community. You're going to find people who are religious, who are not religious, and everything in between. You're going to find Masorti, which could be defined as, I make Kiddush on Friday night, to the television in the background, to I don't travel on Shabbat, and I and everything else all the way down. So it's kind of, Carmei Gat has always been a community that's been very, very diverse, very mixed, and very tolerant. And I think that's one of the most important things, and one of the things that I like the most about this town, is that there are a lot of different people from a lot of different places, and everybody kind of gets along. We have a whole Haredi area, and not much in the way of, there isn't infighting. There's a Haredi area. Cars don't go in there on Shabbat. Everybody knows it. It's okay.
And also a very strong, I think, a nice growing Chabad community as well.
Yeah, there's a big Chabad community. They have a good representation in Carmei Gat. Youth movements run the gamut from the Tzofim all the way to Bnei Akiva and everything in between. Although they're underfunded right now, but eventually that will change. But that's the case all over the country.
Can I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
Is there somebody who lives there who I can speak to, who would answer about elementary schools? Because I know that there's been issues with elementary schools in Israel. They don't have the same mentality as American schools. So I would want to know about the schools there. If they're like loving, or if they're not loving for the elementary schools.
That's such a hard question. I can tell you.
Yeah.
In Jerusalem, it's got to, it's going to take. We can for sure set you up with somebody, maybe who can speak about the community. But as we already know, there is not in Carmei Gat itself, the school is not a religious school. It's a secular.
No, there is a religious school.
A high school, elementary.
Right. The high school is not religious.
That's what I'm talking about, the high school.
Okay.
But you're asking, Kayla, you're asking about a high
I'm
school?
asking about the elementary. My
Oh, the
daughter's
elementary. Oh, the elementary is, I think, a
There's
religious.
one religious and one non-religious.
and it's a good school. It's like a, you
From
know, it's
what
like a,
I've heard, yes. I am way past the age of having children of school age. I have grandchildren of school age, but they don't live here.
But it's a lot, Kayla, I'll speak to you about this privately maybe, but it's very
Every school is
different.
different.
Very, very different. Israel
Every
is
class is
yeah,
different.
no, I would love to speak to someone who lives there, could tell me about like the religious level of the community and the school. 'Cause we're looking for a very specific kind of religious.
Mm-hmm. Atara
So-
would probably be the best to give you an answer.
Yeah. So Kayla, send me a message and I'll send you Tara's details.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Are we on Facebook together? Are you one of my Facebook friends?
No, we've spoke on WhatsApp, so I can
Oh,
just
that's
text.
right. Okay, now I see your last name. Heba. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, great. Okay. Nice.
thank you.
Nice to see a face behind the WhatsApp messages. Okay,
Thank you.
great. My pleasure. Just remind me, okay? Because I get a lot of messages. So just
No,
send
I'm
me-
gonna text you. I'm gonna text you.
Fantastic. Okay.
Thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, is there any more questions?
Yeah, I had a question. You might have already discussed this, but I was a bit confused about the housing availability, because you said that other than apartments.
David, who am I talking to? David?
Yeah.
Hi,
Yeah.
David.
Hi. You said there weren't many or any houses available. Does that include the developments? Are there no developments happening for like housing?
Housing, we're talking about actual freestanding houses. That's
Okay.
what we're talking about. There's lots of housing opportunities, but actual houses that are freestanding, that's very limited. But there's
Right.
lots of apartments and cottages. Cottages are also in very high demand, so they don't come when they come on the market, they get sold incredibly quickly. What is in abundance is apartments, lots of apartments.
And in terms of cottages, are they developing? Are there any like developments happening in terms of like construction?
So there are two, I mean, Marsha will tell us as well, but from what I understand, the garden apartments right now are really being sold out. There may be some in the next year or so that are coming on the market.
Right.
Not right at this particular moment. Right now, when I spoke to the developers, I always do research about what's available in the area, because what's the point of having these amazing calls and giving you guys talking about these great communities if there's not housing opportunities. So, but in maybe a year's time, there will be stuff coming on the market, but right now there's nothing available.
Okay.
Right now we have apartments, large apartments, penthouses. There could be some resales, and you can send us what you're looking for and we'll keep an eye out for you.
Right. I'll be happy to look out for you.
Okay,
There
great.
are a lot of penthouses, but there are almost no freestanding houses available right now.
Yeah,
All right, thanks so much.
pleasure. Any other questions? So I think we may say goodnight and bye to everybody. And please feel free to reach out to me. I love this community. I really can see so much potential in Carmei Gat. So I think that it's something definitely to keep in mind if you are making Aliyah, if you are living in Israel and maybe want to move to a different community. And Devorah and myself are here, Rafi, to support you every step of the way. We can have a consultation. I know a lot about the different communities and what's available throughout Eretz Israel. So please be in touch with me and we can help you. And I hope to see you all soon. And I really hope that my kids go back to school, because now we are going on to a third lockdown. So yeah, I don't know what's going on in the rest of the world, but all I know is I have 3 kids at home and I'm not happy about it.
I bet.
So anyway, and I'm going to stay on. So anybody who wants to talk privately, I'm going to stay on for a bit. You're more than welcome. Thank you all for coming on tonight, and be safe, everybody. And
Thank you for hosting it.
Thank you, Marsha, and we'll be in touch. And I'm
Yes,
staying on for a few more minutes. Good night, Sarah.
Okay.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you all.
It's a pleasure. Take care. I'm staying on, so feel free to stay on and ask questions.
I have a question.
Hi, Laura.
Hi. You mentioned cottages as opposed to freestanding homes. What is the difference between a cottage?
Semi-attached, so it shares a wall with another building. It shares you'll have one neighbor next to you, or sometimes
I see.
each side.
So here in New York, that's considered a semi-detached.
Correct, the same as here.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much. Thank you for all your information.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Good night. Who else is still on? People are going to wait until everybody goes off and then come on and have a chat. Okay, so we're saying good night. Rivka, did you have a question before you go?
Do you hear me now?
Yes, hi, how are you?
Okay, good. For special needs kids, it will go through everything through Misrad Ravacha and the regular Carmei Gat. And if my daughter is in school in Yerushalayim, how long would it take to still send her to school in Yerushalayim for transportation wise?
Probably an hour.
And how's it go? Goes the 60? It goes the back road over there on the 60?
I honestly don't know. You'd have to look into it, or I can try and find out for you. But it's probably you'd probably have to take a train and then a bus.
Because she's already going to be 18 years old. I'm not going to want to change schools to an entire new school. She only has another 2-3 years left of.
Where is she in school?
She's in Malchei Yisrael and Seminar Chadash. She's Down syndrome. They have a program there for Down syndrome girls. So she's in 11th grade now. And
what, and a Beis Israel?
No, Beis Yaakov.
A Beis Yaakov, Beis Israel, right?
No, Seminar Chadash.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I got confused. Yes, okay.
Seminar Chadash, across the street from where Schneller Army Base was.
Sure.
Okay, so she's there. She's in a special program, and if I don't have to change her for,
Well, I wouldn't do it because it would not be good for her to change.
Right. So I want to know how long it takes. We're in Beit Shemesh, and it's usually 40 minutes for her to get to school. So I just was wanting to know everything would have to go through Misrad Ravacha there, right? I'd have to start again.
Yes.
And have them
it may not be worth saying this from a personal point of view to make too many changes until maybe she finishes school.
But then I have to find out how the Misrad Ravacha is there. Like, what is she going to do after the age of 20?
You'd have to find out what's available before you make the changes.
Because here, Beit Shemesh, they do everything with Yerushalayim. There's nothing set up here for the special needs kids here.
Are you in Ramat Beit Shemesh?
I'm in Ramat Beit Shemesh, right. So there's nothing here for the older children. Everybody's shipped off to Yerushalayim. So I wanted to know, in Carmei Gat, do they also ship them off to Yerushalayim? And if they do, will they approve to send her there? Or are they, more like their sister city is maybe Ashkelon or Ashdod or something, and they'd send the special needs kids off?
I honestly don't know. We'd have to try and find out for you. You know who could be a good resource for you is Rafi from Olim Advisors.
Okay.
Because I know that, they obviously get questions all the time about special needs education. So maybe you can just drop him an email and ask him if he knows. And I can also send any of the ladies who are on the call tonight a message to say, what is the situation with special needs children?
But she's older. They have little kids there still. My kids are older.
I'm not sure there's going to be
she's my youngest, and I don't know. And also, we're more Israeli than American, and my husband is Moroccan. So as far as the Anglo situation, I don't know how much we'd fit in there. I probably will be the only one who would fit in, because everybody else here is Israeli. So
maybe it's not the right shidduch for you. Maybe it's not the right.
It's not. Right.
No, it's very good to be very transparent about these things, because it's got to work, as a collective for the whole family.
Right. No, because they want to get out of Beit Shemesh. So.
Okay, so maybe Devorah lives in Ramat Beit Shemesh, and maybe have a chat with her as well. Do you know each other?
No. So. I'm in debt, and where all the Haredim are, we don't fit into the Haredim, but we bought on paper 23 years ago, when my neighborhood was Mizrahi, and everybody moved out before we moved in, and now it's all Haredi, which we don't exactly fit into well, but they do have a Mizrahi shul, and you know, my kids, my husband goes there, so they fit in. I totally do not fit into this neighborhood. That's why I'm saying I will be the only one who would fit into the Anglo part of Carmei Gat, because
So I think we need a one-on-one conversation to figure out exactly where the right place is for you to go.
okay,
Because I'm
so
not
maybe
sure.
I'll
I'm
be
not
in
sure
touch
that
with
Carmei Gat is the right fit either for you.
Okay.
But we can
So I
talk
could be
about
in
it. Make an appointment to speak to Devorah,
Okay.
and we can have a chat.
Okay, fine. Thank you
Hi,
very
Rivka, I'm
much.
going to put my number here. So I'm happy to chat with you tomorrow.
Okay, very good. I'll take your number then. Okay. Very
Anybody
good.
else want to say hello? Sam, Dory, Ilya, before we sign off?
054-213-5822. Very good.
Okay,
Very
Lila
good.
Tov, everybody. Good night. Thank you for joining us. Good night.
Good night. Thanks,
Good night.
Kim.